Right, let's all go. Hi guys, welcome to the next part of unlocking the fretboard. So this is where things start to get pretty serious. We've gone through 5 positions of the major scale. Now I'm going to start by going through the modes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain first how we create the modes using the major scale, and then I'm going to specifically concentrate on Dorian for this one, and we are going to attempt to then do G Dorian, I should say, position 1. Okay, and I'll try. Hopefully, at the end of that, you'll understand how we got there, what notes are in the Dorian scale, and how to play position 1 Dorian. And then hopefully you'll be able to work out the other positions of Dorian as well. So let us begin. We're going to start by using the G major scale position 1. So that's why I'm here at the 3rd fret. This is our position 1. I've gone through this scale already. If you don't know it, I'll put a little link below to the scale shape. The most important one is position 1, so make sure you learn it. That's the main bit we're going to deal with, is just those notes basically. Okay, so that is G major, G Ionian, and that is the first mode, is the major scale, okay? So what we basically have, the other thing that we've talked about is the tones and the semitones, so that's also important. So in the major scale, you start with your roots, you go up a tone to get to the 2nd note, the major 2nd. You go up another tone to get to the 3rd note, the major 3rd. Then it's a semitone to the perfect 4th, a tone to the perfect 5th, another tone to the major 6th, another tone to the major 7, and then a semitone back to your root. Okay, so that's going to be important later as well. There's another. I have done a video on that in the Unlocking the Fretboard series, describing how we create the major scale. Okay, so really you have to understand those 2 concepts, otherwise this will get confusing. Normally when I teach this, I write it all down for people and they can have some time to kind of digest it, but it's not going to be as easy to do, partially because I'm not very good at doing graphics and stuff. But so I'm going to try and just do it with the guitar. And then I'm going to need your comments if you don't understand it and you need me to go over again. But hopefully it'll make some semblance of sense. So the modes, basically what you do with the mode is it's basically taking that scale we have, which in this case is G, and then rather than starting on the G note, as I always do, go from root to root. I can't play guitar really sometimes. So there's my root. Instead of that, we're going to start on the A note, and this now becomes our root. So the notes we are using are those that we have from the G major scale, which is G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. Okay, those are the notes we're using, but we're going to start the scale from an A, and it's going to become an A scale. Okay, so now the scale is this. Now, the funny thing is, it does have a slightly different change in tone just by starting from that A note, okay? That is literally how we create the modes. That's how we're going to create all the modes. And by starting on the major 2nd, that is the 2nd mode, so that is Dorian. So that, what I just played through, was A Dorian, okay? Now, we know the notes because they're the same notes we have in the G major scale, as I said. So now the notes are A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and then the root A. Okay, so those are the notes in A Dorian. You know, if you feel free to write that down, if it's going to help you kind of get through this. If you're one of those learners who likes to write things down, I think sometimes it's easier to play it or hear it. Depends how you like to learn, really. I quite like to write things down, let's face it. But a lot of people don't. So that is A Dorian. So those are the notes in A Dorian. And that's how we get to Dorian. So the same thing would work. So if I played an A major shape here, but then started on the 2nd note, I'd be in B Dorian. Okay. That's how you create your Dorian. You just take your major scale and start on the 2nd note, and it becomes a Dorian scale. Okay. So that's quite a big concept to get through, but once you've understood that, what we can then do is we can use our intervals to work out what notes we actually have in the scale. Okay, so in the major scale we have root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and then back to your octave, back to your root. Okay, those are the notes we have in the major scale, but then it's obviously going to be different intervals now because we're doing a Dorian scale. So the first one is going to be between an A note and a B note. Well, that is still a tone, so that's our root note A, and the second note is still a major second. Okay, so that's actually still the same. So that would be the same as it would be in a normal A major scale. Those first two notes are going to be exactly the same. But the next note, in a major scale, you'd have another tone, okay? But in the Dorian, it's only a semitone because the next note in the scale is C. So it's going to go A, B, C. And that, or to me, that just sounds minor because it is. And that just really, that minor third, that flat third, is what makes a scale a minor scale, okay? So that's what the first note that's different from what we'd expect in a normal major scale. We have a flattened third, okay? So this is where it'd be if we played A major, but we're flattening it one fret, a semitone back to in this case, a C note. So it's going to be root A, major second B, then it's going to be a flattened third to get our C. The next note along is a tone above the C note, okay, which takes us to here. Now, normally the gap between a third and a fourth is a semitone, but because we've got a flattened third, we would expect it to be a tone. So actually, this D note is a perfect fourth. So again, it would be the same as we'd expect in a normal major scale, okay? So we've got the perfect fourth. The next note along is an E note, so it goes D, E. That is also a tone up, so that's perfect fifth. That's exactly what we'd expect. The next note along is an F sharp, which is a tone again, which is exactly what we'd expect. It's a major sixth. Okay? So far we've only got one note difference from the one we'd have in a normal major scale. We've got this flattened third. But the next one's different as well. Normally from the 6 and the 7 it's a tone gap, but in this case it's only going to be a semitone. Okay, so this is a G note, and this is the flattened seventh. Okay, so it's not a major second, it's a flattened seventh. And then we're going to go back to our root at A. So the scale. Okay, A Dorian has a root, a major second, a flat third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a major sixth, a flat seven, and then we're back to that root. Now, I'm trying not to go through it too quickly, so hopefully you understand how I got there. Basically, all I'm doing effectively is, I take my G major scale, I start on the second note, which in this case is A, I then play the same scale. I then compare the notes I now have in this scale, A Dorian, to my A major scale, and I see what's different. And so I have two notes that are different, okay? I have a flattened third, and I have a flattened seventh, which is here. Come on, Paul. There we go. So that's it. I've got two notes that are different. I've got a flattened third and a flattened seventh. Now, a flattened third makes it a minor scale, okay? If you ever see a scale with a flattened third, it's going to be a minor scale. Okay? And we're going to go through that because we're going to do a couple more minor scales, including the actual natural minor scale, which is one of the modes. So that makes it mean it's a minor scale, and it's got a flat 7 as well, which is kind of what we'd expect. But that's basically your Dorian, okay? That's your Dorian mode, okay? So it goes root, major second, flat third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, flat 7, and then back to your root. So what we can do is we can use this then to create G Dorian, which is what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to practice as well. So we've got our first two notes because we've played them already. It's going to go G, and then we've got a major second. That's absolutely fine. But then we've got a flattened third. Okay, so this is normally where we go in the scale. But now we've got to flatten that third. And on a guitar, that's easy. We just move it back one fret. But then we've got a perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, sorry. But then we've got a flattened seventh. So normally we'd go there with our ring finger, but we're going to use our middle finger. And then we've got the root. Okay, that is G Dorian. Come on, Paul. Okay. That's my G. Those are the notes I'm going to have in G Dorian. So all I've done is I've taken the major scale in G and I've just flattened those two notes that I know need to be flattened to create the Dorian mode. Okay. Now what we can do is using the cage chord system, we already have 5 scale shapes. And if you're very clever, you will have noticed that that scale shape I was just playing would normally be what would be considered position 2. But I'm going to play it as though it's a position 1 shape. Okay, so normally you'd play it here for the major scale. All I'm going to do is I'm going to move it back and start here. Okay, and that is position 1 Dorian. So it's the normal position 2 shape, but moved back a couple of frets. That is position 1 Dorian, okay? So I'll play it through from root to root and I'll tell you what I'm playing so that you can hopefully have a practice of that. Okay, so it's going to be 3rd fret root, same thing, G. Then it's going to be 5th fret for our major second with our pinky, so it's middle finger pinky. First finger is going to play the flattened 3rd, which is a B flat note. 1st fret A string. 3rd fret A string for our perfect 4th at C. 5th fret A string for our perfect 5th D. And then we've got our major 6th at the 2nd fret D string with our 1st finger there. Okay, then we've got our flattened 2nd with our middle finger. Sorry, flattened 7th, sorry, I said 2nd. 7th with our middle finger there. Okay, which in this case is an F. And then we've got our root. Then keep going. So A, B, C. Okay, then we shift our hand position. 1st finger is now going to play 3rd fret on the B string. Okay, D, E, F. There's our flat 7. Back to our root. Major 2nd, flat 3rd, and then back. And that is Dorian position 1, and that's what I'd really like you to practice. Now, the two things you really want to be able to do with this, the first one is step 2 kind of thing. Once you've learnt the shape, is to move it around and play, for example, A Dorian. So that would be here. Position 1, and then you could do it whatever key you wanted. C sharp Dorian. And then once you've done that, you can then start to try and play the other other shapes of Dorian. So what happens is, because we've learnt those 5 shapes, position 2 is now position 1. So position 3 is now position 2. Okay, so what I can then do is I can play my position 2. There's my root note. I'm just going to shifty my guitar along. There's my G note. I'm going to play the shape that's position 3, but I'm going to play it in a D position. Okay, so position 3 now becomes position 2. And then it continues on from there. So position 4 becomes position 3, position 5 becomes position 4, and then position 1 becomes position 5, okay? So you don't need to learn new shapes, you just need to be able to move your shapes. So this is why it's been, all my previous lessons have been building up to this in this Unlocking the Fretboard series. I started by telling you what notes we have. Then I talked about how we have intervals of tones and semitones. Super important, we use those to build our major scale. Okay, then we learn the 5 shapes to play the major scale across the fretboard. We then use those shapes and move them around using the roots we've also looked at to then play the modes, and then play the modes in all the different shapes. Okay, so recap on Dorian. We take a G major scale. We then start it from the 2nd note, which is an A. This is now a Dorian. So the notes we have are the same that we had in the G major scale. We don't change the notes, we just start from a different note. So you've got A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. Okay, same notes as in the G major scale. We then compare that to an A major scale. We find that there's 2 notes that are different. We flatten the 3rd and we flatten the 7th note in the scale. We can then take our normal G major shape and then we adjust it to play the Dorian scale. We flatten the 3rd and we flatten the 7th. Okay, and that is how you play G Dorian. That's how you get to the place where you're playing G Dorian. And then obviously what we can use is use the shapes we've already learnt to then play the actual scale itself. And as I said before, you're looking to play in 5 positions is your ultimate goal. So first job, learn position 1 Dorian, understand how I got there, learn position 1 Dorian. Then 2, play the Dorian shape first position in every key across the fretboard. It's always going to be an E string root first position. Okay, then third thing is to then try and play the 5 positions of Dorian if you can. Well, next week I'm going to do the next mode, which is Phrygian, so you might not have a chance to do all of that, but that's a good way to go. Just a little side, the chord I've been playing is a minor chord, but I'm throwing in a major 6th, okay, which is a Dorian sound. So in this case I'm playing a G note there with my middle finger, 3rd fret E string. I'm then playing an E note, 2nd fret D string, 1st finger though. And then I'm going to play on the 3rd fret the G string and the B string, okay? I could play the E as well, but I'm just not. So this note here is our minor 3rd, which is a B flat, and then this note here is our 5th, which is a D. So it's a minor with an added 6th. Okay? And that is our Dorian chord. Dorian, there you go. Hope you understand that. Good luck with the challenges I've set you, and I will see you for more scales next Sunday. Bye bye.